The summer sun blazed over Willow Creek, turning my backyard pool into a shimmering oasis. I'd just finished mowing the lawn, trimming the hedges, and fixing the wobbly pool ladder when I launched into a cannonball, the kind that sends water exploding like a geyser. Mid-air, a shriek pierced the calm, sharp enough to rattle the neighborhood dogs. I hit the water, and by the time I surfaced, Linda Harper was storming through my side gate, clutching her phone like a sheriff's badge. "You're trespassing on HOA property," she bellowed, her voice trembling with righteous fury. "I've got the police on speed dial." I blinked chlorine from my eyes, towel in hand, and said, "Linda, this is my house." Her floral blouse quivered as she snapped, "This pool is communal space. We voted." I couldn't help but laugh. "My property isn't in your HOA. You're the one trespassing." Her face reddened, and with a huff, she dialed 911. I'd lived in Willow Creek for 3 years, a quiet corner of suburbia where the biggest drama was usually a misplaced recycling bin. My house sat just outside the HOA's boundary, a fact I cherished for its freedom from petty rules. Linda, though, was a legenda self-appointed guardian of community standards, who once fined a neighbor for offensive Halloween pumpkins. That Saturday, I'd planned to float in peace, but Linda's flip-flops slapped my deck like a war drum. She recorded me, narrating like a true crime host. "Here's the scofflaw using HOA property illegally." I climbed out, dripping, and repeated, "This is my pool, Linda." She didn't blink. "The board says otherwise." She spat, and marched off to await the cops. 10 minutes later, 2 deputies arrived, one chewing gum like it was a sport, the other already sunburned and grumpy. Linda pounced, pointing at me like I'd robbed a bank. "He's violating our rules." The officers glanced at me, and I waved casually. "I live here. Want my deed?" I handed over my property documents from an outdoor cabinet. They stepped aside, made calls, and returned with a verdict that made Linda's jaw drop. "Ma'am," the taller deputy said, "this house isn't in your HOA. Never was. You filed a false report." Linda's eyes bulged. "That's impossible. We have a map." The deputy cut her off. "County records don't lie." I stifled a chuckle as Linda stormed out, vowing, "This isn't over." The gates, private property, sign mocked her exit. I thought that'd be the end. Linda would sulk, find a new target, and I'd swim in peace. But the next morning, a pink note in my mailbox scrawled on a church bulletin read, "Join the HOA or things get difficult." No signature, but Linda's venom oozed from every word. This wasn't about pools or rules, it was about control. She couldn't stand my freedom from her imaginary empire. So, I upgraded my security cameras, a video doorbell, the works. If Linda wanted to play dictator, I'd be ready. The next week, my cameras caught her creeping down the sidewalk at midnight, robe flapping, stuffing a violation notice into my mailbox. The note, taped with a neon sticker screaming, "Immediate action required," demanded DO Law 254. Unauthorized splash distribution. Apparently my cannonball waves were disturbing the peace. I laughed, but my amusement faded when animal control showed up, claiming I housed a pit bull, a parrot, and a goat. I showed the officer my empty yard and inflatable flamingo. He left, muttering about wasted time. Linda was escalating, and I was done playing nice. I cited the real HOA office, not Linda's fantasy regime, and met Sarah, a weary manager who groaned at Linda's fake notices. "She was kicked off the board 2 years ago for this nonsense," Sarah said. "She's been warned to stop." When I mentioned my non-HOA status, Sarah's eyes widened. "She's targeting you illegally." Back home, Linda's notes multiplied in my windshield, under my mat, accusing me of noise pollution from wind chimes and wildlife violations for a bird feeder. I requested a county property survey, which confirmed my lot was HOA-free. I laminated a copy for Linda. The HOA meeting was my chance to strike. I wasn't a member, but Linda's antics gave me a ticket in. The clubhouse buzzed with fed-up neighbors. Linda strutted in, clipboard in hand, and ranted about neighborhood unity, while calling my pool a disgrace. When my turn came, I stood, handed out my survey, and played footage of Linda sneaking around my property. Gasps filled the room. Sarah confirmed Linda's ousting and announced legal action against her impersonation. Linda fled pale as a ghost. Days later, I woke to power tools. Linda was directing workers to build a privacy wall along my fence, complete with a HOA members only sign. She claimed it protected the community from my disruptive pool. I pointed out the concrete posts on my land. She shrugged, citing temporary fencing. A surveyor proved she'd encroached 6 feet onto my property. I called the county, calmly reporting an illegal structure. Meanwhile, Linda littered the neighborhood with flyers about pool party violations and water hogging. I hosted a barbecue, and when Linda peeked through her compliance window, a guest yelled, "Enjoying the VYEW!" She vanished. The county inspector arrived, re-VYU'd my EVY Denke, and slapped a demolition notice on Linda's wall. She erupted, accusing me of sabotage. Neighbors shared memes of Linda versus the wall. On day 8, a city crew dismantled her fence as she flailed, screaming about rights. The sheriff, same guy from the pool incident, moved her aside. The wall collapsed, and my pool basked in sunlight again. Then came the lawsuit. A manila envelope under my door held Linda's small claims filing, demanding due law $5,000 for harassment and emotional distress. I gathered my arsenal footage, surveys, notices, and walked into court. Linda, price tag dangling from her blazer, called me a menace, and my pool a VY soul trauma. The judge's eyebrows nearly flew off. I presented my EVY Denke, including Sarah's testimony that Linda was a rogue ex-member. Linda's only proof was a blurry pool photo. The judge dismissed her case, issued a restraining order, and made her pay fees. She stood, binder crashing, as I walked out laughing. The internet exploded. A neighbor's VY Dale. Linda gets wrecked in court. Went VY Ral. Memes flooded social media. One captioned my pool. Not your HOA, not your problem. Linda vanished, curtains drawn, house dark. Her for sale sign appeared weeks later. The day her MOVYing truck left, I sat by my pool, sipping a beer, staring at my new sign. Not part of your HOA. Never was, never will be. Neighbors threw a freedom party with flamingo floats and a cardboard Linda cutout. Kids biked freely. The mailman smiled. Linda's defeat wasn't just a win, it was a warning. Some people wield clipboards like scepters, but push back with facts, and their kingdoms crumble. As the sun set, I dove into my pool, the splash echoing in the quiet. Linda was gone, but her legend lived on, a cautionary tale for anyone who thinks they own your backyard.